The First Sliver versus Leovold Emissary of Trest. I've been seeing a lot more Leovold recently. It's funny how certain commanders tend to show up in waves. Been noting Grizzlebrand a lot as well. Let's mulligan there. Okay, that's much better with a Wheel of Fortune, as long as we can get that done before Leovold comes down. So let's keep that. We'll get rid of the Bone Sight Sliver. Yeah, we're going to wheel before we can get down the Bone Sight Sliver, I think. Tap land from our opponent. That is a turn 2 Cloud Shredder Sliver. Let's just get down a fetch and pass the turn. I have no idea what we want to grab with our fetch land yet. We'll try and draw into as many lands as possible before we crack those. Alright, our opponent decides to hold up a couple of blue mana during our turn, which suggests that there is some counter magic coming here. Let's go for Plateau. We've got a black mana there, obviously. We'll go for Volcanic Island here, so that we've got some blue mana, and we'll try and get down the Cloud Shredder Sliver. Alright, that comes down nicely. That is Flying and Haste to our slivers. This is a really good sliver that was printed in a recent set. So perhaps just bluffing there that they had some counter magic. They do have enough mana for Leovold here though, so that switches off Wheel of Fortune. And there is the Leovold Emissary of Trest. Now then, which one's this? When it enters, choose a creature type. Yeah, it's Wooburg for slivers, isn't it? So instead of going for that, let's go Windswept Teeth for green. And how many double symbols do we have here? Got a double black there, double blue there. Yeah, not really much of any, is there? There's a lot of green. Don't really know. It's almost arbitrary. Let's go for green and black, just in case our opponent wheels us. Then we'll go Steely Resolve. Name Sliver, that gives all of our slivers Shroud. And then we'll continue to fly in over our opponent's head. Just have to keep our fingers crossed that he doesn't have a wheel. But if our opponent does wheel here, then we'll probably just scoop it up anyway and give Leovold his 57th win of the day due to early concessions. Alright, that is a Jace the Mind Sculptor. We don't have a means of shuffling up, unfortunately, so if they go for a, what is it called, a Fate Seal? Well, they don't go for Fate Seal anyway. That is a Brainstorm. And Leovold swinging in, surprisingly. This is a Haste Enabler, so I don't know about that. Let's go Unclaimed Territory. Naming Sliver. And then, as much as I'd like to hold up Cyclonic Rift, I think we go Blur Sliver and get rid of our opponent's Jace the Mind Sculptor here. Now, I don't know how my opponent's built this Leovold deck, but I assume there's lots of spot removal in it, which makes them very unhappy to see a Steely Resolve, I'm sure. Okay, now a Tezzeret the Seeker. No artifacts to untap. They could tutor for something, though. Oh, and not only does this give haste, I forgot about that, it gives flying as well, doesn't it? So it almost doesn't matter that our opponent swung in, because we could fly over the Leovold even if it sat back. Yes, that's my mistake for getting there. They might as well have swung in with Leovold to get the damage on us, because even if we do play a Sliver, we can fly over it. Going for the -4 onto Tezzeret, meaning they can search for an artifact with supremacy 4 or greater, and a Coercive Portal. Surprised to see that in a Leovold deck. Wouldn't have thought they'd have any trouble in drawing cards in that deck. Let's get our 5th coloured mana down. Now then, we could go for our Commander, but I want to hold up Swords to Plowshares just in case our opponent goes for that wheel. And failing that, we can go for this at the end of our opponent's turn. We can go for a Rift there as well, and then go for Wheel of Fortune ourselves. So, just going to have to go a little bit more slowly than I would have liked here, unfortunately. Coercive Portal in 1v1 forces the draw. and draws our opponent a card at the beginning of every turn. So our opponent goes straight back up to 7 cards, which is actually good. Doesn't make me feel as bad about using Wheel of Fortune. I don't like to feed my opponent cards with wheels, but they may hold up counter magic anyway. And, ooh, that is a Primeval Titan. Yeah, I think the Cyclonic Rift is going on to Primeval Titan then, and we'll wheel that away. We could actually... No, Swords to Plowshares on Primeval Titan and Cyclonic Rift onto Leovold is better. They go for Maze of Ith and Gaia's Cradle. Maze of Ith isn't good. And then our opponent swings in. Instead of taking the damage, we might as well bounce the Leovold here. They will draw a card, but they're going to have that card wheeled anyway, so as long as it's not free counter magic, we're not too worried about that. Lotus Petal from our opponent. And then sacking that straight away and playing an Ancestral Vision. So let's keep that over there so we can keep an eye on those time counters, suspend counters, whatever they're called. Then we'll go Swords on Primeval Titan as well. Got rid of our opponent's commander first so that they wouldn't draw a card off of us targeting the prime time. And we get Shadow Sliver. With flying, I don't think we really care about Shadow Sliver. So let's go for Wheel of Fortune. Get into a bunch of mana, that's great. Let's go Mana Crypt. And I think we go Harmonic Sliver. Harmonic Sliver forces us to target though, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Well, we'll get down our Celestia Signet anyway. In that case, I think we go Wooded Foothills. We'll go for a Tropical Island. And we'll go for Thorncaster Sliver. Then we'll point all of these at my opponent. We'll be able to point these at Leovold, assuming that Leovold doesn't wipe the board. But is that abilities as well? Target of a spell or ability. Wow, Leovold. As if that first ability wasn't good enough, that second one's even better almost. We'll draw our opponent a card again. Yeah, so if we target our opponent with 3 pings from each of the creatures, they'll draw 3 cards. Noteworthy that our opponent got into Gaia's Cradle. They don't have any creatures in play currently, but they had 2 at the time of tutoring for those. And now Maze of Ith is untapped as well. 9 cards in our opponent's hand, so surely they've got a means of dealing with all of this, but they might not have a board wipe in hand. Okay, that's curious. My opponent passing the turn. They've gotten an Ancient Tomb down. I don't think they had that before, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that smells like Cyclonic Rift to me. So yeah, we'll get down another white source in Marsh Flats. We'll go for a Savannah in white and green, and then it's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, as long as we can hold up mana to recast the Cloud Shredder. Assuming our opponent goes for an early Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, I don't think I mind that. Might even go for Harmonic Sliver. Well, we need to hold up the correct mana is my point, so let's go like that. And then if we tap that for white, that is either Cloud Shredder or Harmonic Sliver, yeah, so that's alright. We get a Cascade here. Go straight in for Hibernation Sliver, which is good when we've got targeted removal aimed at our stuff, but that's not likely when the Steely Resolve is out. Oh, and does this target as well? Untap a target attacking creature. Alright, well, I forgot that Maze of Ith actually targets, so perhaps don't need to worry. And these trigger on attack as well, so definitely making use of the haste here. Might be that our opponent can go in for Leovold into a wheel. That'll be 5 mana. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, if they've got a wheel, they can go Leovold into a wheel. But there's nothing we can do about that currently. And now it looks like the Cyclonic Rift our opponent has is coming into play. Or maybe they have bounce every attacking creature. Something like that. It is a Cyclonic Rift, as we assumed it was. We'll still get the damage off of attacks. So let's go in for that Mana Crypt again. And I think the Cloud Shredder Sliver is the thing to aim for here. Although we could go for Blur Sliver, because if our opponent's got targeted removal, then I'd rather it went on this Haste Enabler than the Crowd Shredder. So if we go Celestia Signet, and then like that, pay red from that, we can go Blur Sliver, and that gets out more permanents. Not to mention the fact that we've got a Haste Enabler now. Now, time to see. Oh, first off, we have to discard, don't we? We've got plenty of green, so let's just get rid of that. Yeah, time to see if our opponent has Leovold into a Wheel in hand. The Ancestral Vision now has 2 counters on it that you can't see because it's off screen. Oh, that's strange. It cuts it out. Alright, that's yeah, one of the many design flaws on Modo. Didn't actually look at what my opponent discarded to that wheel, did we? They had a Jace the Mind Sculptor, the Tezzeret we already knew about, a land, they had Teferi, that's good to get rid of, Damnation, so they do run board wipes, they've got the Cyclonic Rift there. Oh, and then into a Vorinclex, okay. And they do have blue mana held up here. And they've got mana from the Gaia's Cradle as well. Not to mention the Maze of Ith. I think going for Steely Resolve this turn would be a good idea. Get into Golgari Signet. Let's drop a land. We have to be careful about the lands we tap here, so what do we want to play? We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 mana. I think going for the First Sliver and Steely Resolve is a good idea. Let's go like that. And that can be Steely Resolve, colourless and a green. That's a safe bit of mana to use up. That comes down, we name Sliver. Then we make Wooburg. And Vorinclex becomes a pain in the neck. Then it's red and green there. Yeah, then we can go blue, black, white, red for the two mana slivers. So let's get down the First Sliver first and see how lucky we are with our cascades. We need the First Sliver to actually land first. Oh, of course, they get double blue off this, don't they, thanks to the Vorinclex. Yeah, I forgot about that. Looks like our opponent does have counters, though. They tap the blue unless they're trying to play games with us. There is a Predatory Sliver. We'll definitely get that into play. So that is a Lord. And then Hibernation Sliver might tempt removal from our opponent's hand. I want them to wait on that as long as possible so that we can actually get more cascades off. So let's go not like that. Oh, and Vorinclex doesn't let you untap your mana. How annoying. Oh, we needed red from that. White there. And then, yeah, that messes us up. Okay. Nothing we can do there. Looks like we're playing a Signet. Or we could just leave that land untapped. So in that case, yeah, we have to go for red here. Yeah, Vorinclex doesn't allow us to untap that land. So let's go for the Cloud Shredder Sliver. Could have gotten down another Sliver here if I'd tapped my land correctly, but not to worry. Let's go for the Striking Sliver. We'll have haste on our stuff. That will cascade. I don't know why the Predatory Sliver didn't cascade, actually. Should have done. Cascades into nothing, though. I think the only thing we can cascade into off of a small sliver like that is the Mana Crypt, which we've already got. Let's swing in with everything. Ah, and surprisingly we actually won that one. Preying on Leovold yet again. Didn't see any wheels or anywhere near as much control as you normally do from Leovold, so maybe that's actually a more fun build of Leovold than most are. But yeah, I was definitely expecting something from my opponent there. I think they might have been bluffing on the counter magic there. They tapped down double blue and then untapped it. And I think if you can counter the Cascade Sliver, the first sliver, then you absolutely do that, because at least 2 of the slivers there, I can't remember now, I'm looking at the lobby, because a lot of the slivers we had in play there actually came straight off of the first sliver. So maybe they made a mistake and didn't counter there, but I think they were just bluffing and messing with us. So managed to get a surprising victory off there. I didn't think that that was going to happen for us. I thought our opponent was going to go straight into Leovold and a wheel. But that didn't happen, thankfully, so hopefully you all enjoyed this first sliver victory and this praying of Leovold. Be sure to leave a like, a comment and a subscribe, because it does help the channel grow. And hopefully that'll take us to our goal of 4,000 subscribers sooner rather than later, if you all help out with that. So thank you in advance if you decide to do that. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.